get things going. So here we go. Well, welcome to Leadership Academy number 3, September 27th, 2018. Fired up to have this meeting with you guys. And I'm really excited about what we're going to be covering. We've got an action-packed agenda if you haven't checked it out. My name's Nick Matlack. I am the Division Manager of the Great Plains in Oklahoma and Northwest Arkansas for Vector Marketing. So wanted to first off talk about the agenda and what we have coming. We've got some opening comments, some really important things that I've got to cover with you guys. We've got a couple of guest speakers, Brendan French talking about selling as a full-time student, first time on the agenda. So we're fired up for him and being one of the top reps for the month of September and beyond. We have Logan Watson talking about big-time push periods. Logan has won multiple trips with Vector Marketing, just won another one. So we'll be getting to that, and we'll be talking about how we are less than 2 weeks away now from the Olean Push kickoff. So look forward to that. We've got some skills teaching. We're going to talk about the interview wrap-up, probably the most important part of the interview, and we'll be covering that and then doing a little bit of role play with some assignments at the end. So I hope you're ready for a great Great Plains Leadership Academy, and if you are, make some noise. Anybody pumped up and ready? Yes? Woo! All right, that was all right. So first off, I want you to go ahead and bust out your notes. And one of the things I want to talk about is, and I covered this recently with my staff, but I wanted to reshare it, and that is 9 ways to increase your influence. And I want you to write down that leadership is influence, right? You want to be a great leader. Well, are you a leader that others want to follow? And I think it's important that you think about that concept as you move into your business, you move into being an assistant manager, a branch manager, a district manager, or whatever that may be. So one of the things that I want to talk about is the 9 ways to increase your influence, right? So I'm going to go through the list real quickly and just read this over to you. The number 1 is to maintain impeccable character. Make your character one that others know and trust. Always doing right by people. Base pay, awarding fast start prizes, erring on the side of caution, and giving people the benefit of the doubt. Plenty of room in the front row, guys. Even if a rep is frustrating, you remember that they are somebody else's son, daughter, grandchild, and somebody else's future mother or father. And how you treat them, even when you're down, could influence the way that they treat other people's down the road. So be a beacon of great leadership and be a beacon, right, of excellent influence. Number 2, you can write down, is to develop your skills to excellence. Develop your skills to excellence. In everything you do, make sure you're a person of excellence. And it's very hard to lead people if you're not continually working on becoming a better version of yourself. Don't complain about your reps not working to get better at their craft if you're not willing to work on your own. When was the last time you set up a Zoom meeting just to sit and watch another manager across the region or across the division run a PC or do PDI? You want to get better at something, then watch people who are better than you. One of the fastest ways to improve. How many manager videos and audios are you watching on Vector Connect? When's the last time you typed in SLC? If you're going to write anything down, write down SLC. What that stands for is Strategic Leadership Conference. We've run this for over 30 years now. And every single one of those videos has been recorded and uploaded on Vector Connect. There are talks about how to run fantastic events. There are talks about how to run perfect push period PCs. Talks about how to do fantastic PDI, right? Every skill set that you need to be better at. They're all on there, but you need to go out there and be a student, right? Go to the library and watch them, right? Okay, so that really helps out. But again, how intense are you about becoming a better manager this week than you were the week before? Are you working on your business as well as in your business? Number 3, be successful at what you do. Success is the ultimate influencer. If you are successful, others will want to learn how from you. And they'll listen to you more. In the meantime, fake it till you make it. You need to exude success and confidence, that you're comfortable in your own skin and excited about the future and what you're building. Level 10 energy at all times. And if you don't have level 10 energy, learn how to fake it. Because I promise you in the summer, there are going to be the highest highs and the lowest lows, and they're going to come back to back, right? You're going to have a parent walk in that is pissed off that their son's working for you, right, while you're running an office, and you're going to have to go in and then run, right, be calm about that, and then go and run a 10-person interview, right? So be prepared for that. And we do something called situational awareness later on in Leadership Academy, where we give you some questions and you start to write down like how you would handle that, right? Like when I ran a branch, I remember I had a girl walk in with her dad, and I had 5 to 7 people in training, forget the exact number, and they walked in the back, and the husband or the dad looked at me and said, "Hey, what you're doing here is illegal, and we're about to sue you guys." And that was like in the back of my training room. I had 0 staff and I'm running training with 5 to 7 sharp kids. How do you handle that? Are you ready for that? Because that's what we're going to be able to teach you, is how to overcome difficult experiences like that, right? So again, that's something to keep in mind. Goal number 4, you can write down, is speak well. Speak well. Speaking is a powerful tool of influence. Speak well and you will attract sharp people to you and they will want to follow you. So if you know you need an improvement as a speaker, maybe it's getting rid of the ums or the ahs or the all rights or the filler words, right? Okay, there's my filler word, right? Okay, there's another one.
Right.
What are you doing to work on your speaking skills? It doesn't fix itself naturally. It takes practice. Are you going to your manager and saying, put me on the team meeting agenda? I'd like to give a talk about blank. I would even encourage you to find whatever your weakness is and then ask to give a talk about that weakness in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because if you have to teach somebody, you're going to have to be able to learn it, right, from other people and then be able to share that. So again, speak well. And you know what's funny about this business is that what we use most is our words. That's what we sell based on. That's what we recruit based on. Everything we do in this business is based on how we communicate, isn't it? So in a job like this, communication is probably one of the strongest skills that you would want to have, okay? Next one, number 5, is to go the extra mile. Don't be in business to be average. Go further than anybody else. I see some managers that skate by and break even financially. They're paying their bills, maybe some months ahead and other months down, but they're hanging in there. That's okay to experience, but that's not okay to stay with, right? Coasting is a short-term play in our business. Consistency is key. And you know what? I've seen so many people ride the roller coaster ride up and down and up and down. And if you really follow that journey and then pinch each side and pull it out, look at how much further you could have gone if you just would have been a little bit more, right, neutral and stable versus having these highs and lows, right? Okay, it makes more sense that way. So go the extra mile. Number 6, be known as the go-to guy or girl. Be known as the go-to guy or girl. Become an expert at something. What is your fingerprint? Let it be your name that people think of when they need something done or they need advice. Develop the reputation that you can and you will get the job done. This will attract people to you big time. Be reliable. Be somebody who can always be consistent and counted on, right? And you got to ask yourself, what is your integrity gap? The difference between what you know you ought to be doing and what you actually are. Number 7, be generous. So we're all paying attention. What's number 7?
Be generous.
I like it. Give to others, help others, let others succeed, celebrate others' success, and gain recognition. I love other people succeeding. I love when I help them get to those accomplishments. And I actually love that more than when I personally succeed, right? So again, help others. And one of the things I love most about Vector is we give people a shot. We have pretty open-ended barriers to entry here, and we give people an opportunity to prove themselves. I feel that Vector marketing is a very level playing field for anybody that comes in here. And I don't believe in circumstances, right? I've seen some of the best reps start from the worst positions and become the best. I've seen some people who had some of the best, right, possible contacts when they started do absolutely nothing with the job. That's why I believe it is so much a level playing field. And if you want something bad enough, Vector Marketing gives you the vehicle to go out there and get it. So again, help others. That's what we're here to do, is help them grow. Cool. Number 8, know more than others, but don't be a know-it-all. People will come to you, and if they know, you will have the answer, right? If they know, you'll have the answer. They won't if you arrogantly remind them that you have all of the answers. So teach your people how to think versus what to think. And that's one of the ways you can make people grow most. And number 9, as we wrap this up, deliver the goods and get the job done. No excuses, get the job done. That's what counts. You only get paid for done, and that's the language that people speak, period. In our business, that means consistently, right, being a team builder and consistently being on the sales report and posting up some good numbers, okay? Consistency is the key, and complacency is the enemy of that consistency word. Cool. Number 10, and the last one you can write down, is have fun. So number 10 is what?
Have fun.
Have fun. Have fun with everything you do. Have fun having a bad week. Have fun having a returned order. Have fun getting no-showed on, okay? I think about the short-term effects of that. Yeah, they suck, but the long-term benefits are so great because now you're so much more relatable. Every pain, every issue that you go through as a newer rep in this business becomes a story that you can then use to relate and influence other people later on. But you got to have fun going through it, right? And if you're not having fun in the moment, then ask yourself, will this matter blank from now? And it might matter in a week, right? It might matter in a day, but eventually you get to this timeline where it's like, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. And it's more of a blip on a radar than anything, okay? So learn how to have emotional intelligence. Learn how to have emotional stability, okay? Keep your emotions in check, because we all know that when our emotions are high, our decision-making ability is pretty what? Pretty low, right? And we don't want that. Cool? So great job with that, and really, really excited as we move forward. All right? So let's talk a little bit about skills, sales, and savings. Those are the three things that your territory decision is going to be based on. And you got to always be asking yourself, what are my career sales and how much have I sold recently? What are you at for the campaign? And I'd encourage you to write these numbers down right now, because today we are into week 1 of the second quarter of the fall, right? September, according to our company tabs, is over, and we are into the first week of October. What you sell between now and October 22nd will count for the month of October in our business. So the question I have for you is, well, how much did you sell? Right? And write that number down. If that number is not something you want to write down, that's even more reason why you need to write it down. That gives you awareness and pain, right? And I'll tell you that sometimes, pain, right, and fear are some of life's greatest teachers. I was talking to Melissa, having one of her biggest weeks in the non-summer recently, and she said, what I've realized is I am a lot more motivated by avoiding pain than by gaining pleasure. Hey, that's pretty awesome, right? So what is the pain that we're trying to avoid and we're trying to get away from? Okay, so it's a cool way to look at it. So again, on a sales level, where are you at? How much have you sold? And again, it's not what your career sales are, but what have you sold recently, and how are you doing towards your goals for the fall? On a savings level, let's go ahead and write that number down, right? Where are you at on a savings level? And right now, I'd love for people to go ahead and come to the front, come up to the video camera, or if you're here right now, but if there's any contributions that you have saved over the course of the last month between Leadership Academy number 2 and Leadership Academy number 3, other than assistant manager pay, please go ahead and stand up and come to the front camera, unmute yourself, and what I'd like to know is name, office, and how much money you've thrown into startups. So that'd be a great conversation for us to have right now. So go ahead and stand up. Has anybody thrown more money into startup, or are you showing up at Leadership Academy today with money to throw into startup? Bum, 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 bum. You're up. You cut a check.
Oh, we're counting that?
Yes, come on up.
Oh, okay.
Come on over. Anybody cut checks towards startup? Go ahead. Name, office, and how much you put in.
Okay, my name is Brendan French. I'm in the OKC office, and I wrote a $600 check.
$600 personal check to startup. Let's give him a big round of applause. Very nice work. And qualifying himself for Olean. So fired up about that. I don't believe he could be on right now, but Melissa, you might want to follow up. Maxwell Heiss. Is Max on?
Yep, he's here.
All right. Go ahead, Max. Give us a rundown, bud.
I'm Max Heisey. I'm from South Tulsa, and I put $600 in.
Brilliant. Good to know that I've been saying your last name wrong for a while. This is Maxwell Heisey. Thank you for that, Maxwell. And $600 in his startup. Got it right in there. Going to be knocking out the $1,000 mark very quickly, and we'll be going to Olean as well. So give him a big round of applause. Nice job, Mr. Maxwell. All right. Awesome. Any other contributions to startup recently? Throwing some good cash in there. Lovely. Glad that's on the recording. All right. Cool. Any other contributions to startup recently? All right. Cool. Well, one of the things I'm going to be very disciplined about moving forward is every time you come to one of these management meetings, you have money for startup, right? Whether it's $20, $200, $2,000. I've seen people cut checks of $3,000 and just write it to Vector Marketing. Remember, it's savings. We're not spending this money, right? It's a forced savings program, and it's a great way to start building wealth. So if you are on AM Pay and your AM Pay is not being withheld right now, talk to your manager. Let's either bump up your AM Pay or get it being on withholdings as we move forward, which would be really big. Cool? So again, we should be contributing towards that. That being said, what I'd like you to write down next to savings is 3 checkpoints. So please jot these down real quick. First checkpoint that I want you to write down is how much will you contribute at Leadership Academy number what? Number 4, right? The date on Leadership Academy number 4 is October 18th, 1 week before we go to Olean. Now, Leadership Academy number 4, if you're going to Olean, I fully expect you to have money to throw into startup. But what do you want your total amount to be at by either Olean or Leadership Academy number 4? Cool? The second checkpoint that I would write down is where do you want your startup to be by year-end banquet? What do you want your startup to be by Year in Banquet? Year in Banquet is the second or third week in January. It's down in Houston. That's where we've already made territory decisions. We've made decisions on who's opening and who's not, and that's where you get promoted on stage in front of like 500 people.
We're all just to the 9.
So where do you want that to be? And then the third and final thing that you can jot down, right, is where do you want your savings to be at by kickoff? And that's the first or second week in April. And that's around the time that really whatever you're at by April is what you're going to be at. I just don't see you having any more money in there between April and May when you officially open, right? So set some checkpoints for yourself. As a reminder, if you want to run a branch office, we want you to have anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 saved. But the more you have saved, the bigger and better territory you get because, again, cash is confidence and it costs more money to have a bigger territory, right? Okay, if you want to run a district, we look for anywhere from between $5,000 and $10,000 saved. So breaking down how much of that is going to come from AM pay, how much of that is going to come from your other, contributions that you can make as well. And personal sales is a huge way to start to add to that. Those of you not running offices, you might be looking at the skill sales and savings thing and saying, well, that's not important for me. Well, the answer is actually yes, it is. Because one of the goals that I have is to build a very wealthy division. And I want every one of our assistant managers, rule number 1, to have $1,000 in emergency savings for their company at all times. Does that make sense? So we're not there yet, but I would love to be able to have 20 offices open and every one of those offices to have an average of like 5 people, right? 7 in districts and maybe 4 in branches or whatever. If we had 5 assistant managers in 20 offices, that would be 100 people. And if those 100 people all had $1,000 saved, we'd have $100,000 saved as a division. How much more confident are we in our programs and in our finances, right? And those of you that might not be opening an office this year, but you want to be an assistant manager and be heavily involved in an office, by 2020, you might have, right, the confidence to open up an office. And what does it feel like to already have $1,000 in there, right, before we even get into next year's Leadership Academy? Cool. So I hope you're looking forward to the future. I hope you're understanding this is a great forced savings habit, and it's really going to make the difference in your career. Cool. All right. Excellent. Great. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing I'd like to talk about, and that is skills, right? What level of skill set do you have? And if you were to give yourself an overall rating on any part of this business, and there's a lot of details here, but there's 3 main parts, right, that I look at. One of those is your interview. Right? And I would write down just the 3 main things that you need to get really good at if you're going to open an office. Number 1 is recruiting and interviewing, right? Okay? Give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being like, dude, I have no clue where to start with an interview. Okay? And 10 being, I crush it. I'm probably one of the best in the division, right? And I can get, 50, 60, 70% shows training. Okay? So where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 with your interview? The second big skill that we need to have is PR program. PR program. Over 50% of our recruits come from PRs and over 50% of our business. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where would you rate yourself on high-level awareness of the PR program? The ability to book PRs, the ability to collect names for PRs, the ability to have PR blitz days, right, and run those effectively. Get staff to help you with that, okay? And the third and final one is what I call rep management. Rep management develops anything between running training and getting people to pop their first weekend to running PDI, running advanced training, doing doing PC, helping them develop and advance. Make sense? So what I'd like you guys to do is give yourself a rating on those 3 categories right now. And how are you going to get better at those things? And also, just like with your savings, you should have checkpoints throughout the year at Olean, at year-end banquet, and at kickoff. You should ask yourself, where do I want to be at on that scale by that checkpoint date? Cool. And these are a lot of things that are just hands-on use, watching Leadership Academy, role-playing, watching other videos, or just going to your office and participating and being a part of it. Really, really good ways to learn. Cool. All right. Next big thing that I want to talk a little bit more about is Olean, and I just want to remind everybody, there is the Triple Threat program. If you don't know what the Assistant Manager Triple Threat is for the fall, this is something that we've continued, but there are 3 ways to win, and if you win on all 3, you get to go out to the Triple Threat meeting. I know I still owe the one from the summer, so we've got to put that in the agenda for October and figure that out. I think we had 2 winners, Claire, I believe, won, and then also Sam Turney. So let's give these guys a 1 clap. 1, 2, 3. So how do you win? Well, there's 3 ways and 3 bracelets that you can win. 4. And then if you win on all 3, you get to go out to a fancy dinner with me as the DVM and so forth. So if you don't know what they are, number 1 is personal sales. Your triple threat equals 3 things. Number 1 is personal sales, selling $10,000 for the campaign. Doesn't matter if you're going to the office or you're going to Olean or not. You all, if you're on AM Pay, can compete in this. And $10K for the campaign is the personal sales, right, part of the triple threat. The second part of the triple threat is personal PRs. So building your own team and getting 3 buddies on the team. As a reminder, some of you might not be from this area and you're like, oh, my friends don't want to do the job. Well, you're in new classes all the time. You're meeting new people all the time. Don't be afraid to ask them if they're looking for work. You'd be surprised who is. They don't need to have a really good relationship with you to at least have the trust to go to your work and check out an interview and see if it's a good fit, right? So just get them in the door. That's the bottom line. But I would like every assistant manager to have at least 3 of their friends on the team who have sold something, right? And if you get 3 or more, you win in the personal team building part of the triple threat. And the third and final one is booking 50 PRs for the campaign. Now, honestly, if you're an assistant manager, your number 1 responsibility is personal sales. Your number 2 responsibility, though, is to help build the team. And we expect that every week you're booking at least 5 PRs in your office. So, again, if you're booking 5 PRs a week and you do that for 10 weeks throughout the fall campaign, there's your 50. There's 17 weeks to get it done. So honestly, that should not be hard to get done. And if you're consistently booking those 5, then you're pacing towards it. You do all 3, and you go out to a fancy dinner with me. Sound cool? All right, sweet. All right, good. So let's go ahead and wrap up. As far as the opening comments go, I want to do a little bit of a walkthrough through the Olean agenda. So go ahead and take your calendar out. I want to talk about some things to prepare for the Olean push and for the Olean trip. And as a reminder, okay, if you're not going to Olean, you can still compete in the Olean push. You can still support your office in possibly winning an office trophy. And again, this is one of the only big regional push periods that we have during the entire fall campaign. So a couple things for you to put in the agenda. At this point, I think we've got about 12 or 15 people throughout the division that are officially qualified and signed up for Olean. We've got a couple of you on the fence right now, but the good news is that we've had some other cancellations from other regions, or sorry, other divisions. Therefore, there is still a little bit of space left for you to sign up and go on this trip. The requirements are $600 in startup and $6,000 in sales, right, as a minimum. Now, if you're not there yet, but you're getting very close, the sooner the better. And once we can see the progress being made towards those, then the region can approve you and we can get your flight booked. That being said, regardless of whether or not you're going, a couple of things that I would highly recommend. Here's a step-by-step process before we move into our guest speakers. Number 1, we need you to make sure you get a PC. You need to get a PC with your manager to plan out every day of your push, plan out every demo spot of your push, figure out what your potential is, figure out what your goals are, and make sure you hit that. Number 2 thing that you need is you need to make sure that you have a big leads list. So I would write down mission 100, right? 100 names and numbers or more on your list, depending on what your goal is going to be, okay? And just so you guys know, last year, it was only the top 8 that were winning the engraved zombie engraved K-bar. Our office won one, which is pretty cool, and this was with Bailey's great leadership, but you get a really nice K-bar engraved knife, and it also has the Olean push winner on it, so pretty cool as well. So would love for you guys to be able to win one of these. This year they've announced that they're doing the top 10, but just for perspective, last year number 8 sold $4,000, number 2 sold $10,000, and number 1 sold $17,000. So I think that's an important number to look at, just kind of set your expectations. Obviously, every year is different, but this is your only opportunity to compete on a national basis as well. Cool. So get a PC, plan out all of your details. Last thing that you should plan on is having a bunch of phone time before the push begins. So if the push begins on the 9th and goes through the 25th, we're looking at about a 16 to 17 day, or actually it's exactly 16 days for the push. So here's a couple things. We in our office already have half-day call days planned in, and if you want to write them down and follow the same program, by all means you can, but we've got on the 5th, okay, we've got a half-day call day planned in the office, and that's going to be from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. On Saturday, October 6th, we have another, right, half-day call day planned from 9 until 1. On Sunday, we have another half-day call day planned from 4 until 8. And then on Monday, we have one last half-day call day planned from 6 until 9. What I would write down is just a great equation for expectation. That is every 1 hour of calls equals 1 demo completed. Okay, every 1 hour of calls equals 1 demo completed. So if you want to go after like 20 demos for your push, well, be prepared to be on the phone for about 20 total hours. And what I would encourage you to do is also try to go into the push with double the expectation of what a normal week would be. So if normally you should keep 5 ahead, then during the push, we should probably try to start the push with at least what? 10 demos ahead, right? And if you got 10 demos ahead, it's going to be really, really exciting. What I'm really fired up about is on the 24th, district manager candidates. You'll be flying out there early that morning. We'll be hanging out in Olean that night. And then on Thursday, the 25th, all district manager candidates will be touring the factory, having a great time. We'll have some meetings later that night while everybody else is flying in. That night, we'll be meeting up with all the branch candidates at a place called Good Times. They've got bowling. They've got ping pong. I'm going to kick your butt for sure. They also have a lot of TVs. If you're a sports fan, Thursday Night Football, it'll be there. And they've also got a shuffleboard and some other really fun things to do. That being said, right after we hang out at Good Times, we will go back to the hotel, and on the 26th, branch managers will tour the factory while district managers go out to a really exciting adventure park. There's ropes course, and it's all going to be a team building event. And then that night, we'll go out to dinner with the CEO after the branches are done touring the factory. We'll all bus up to Niagara Falls that night, stay the night, and then on the morning of the 27th, we'll use half that day to go ahead and do a bunch of events and conferences, and then the other half, we'll tour the falls, we'll hang out, we'll have dinner, and then that night you guys can have some fun, walk over to the Canadian side, whatever you want, and we fly back on the 28th. One of my favorite events of the year, and this year it's going to be the biggest group we've ever brought before, so we're going to be breaking some new records. It'll be a lot of fun. Sound cool? So if you're not signed up, like I said, it's not too late, but we would definitely need to get that done today or tomorrow. And I know many of you have your development call with me tomorrow on Zoom, so make sure you're prepared for that. I got Siam, Isaac, Brennan, AJ, Lancelot, and a few others as well. Looking forward to that. Cool? So let's go ahead and jump into the next section of our agenda. Fired up for it, but we've got Brennan French coming up, and he's going to be talking about why he loves selling Cutco as a full-time student. Brennan currently is a marketing major, actually going to Oklahoma Christian, and Brennan was able to go out there, bust out over 5K in his fast start, I do believe, now over 10,000 in total sales, knocking out a $600 check towards startup, and has very big plans to run a top-level branch and possibly advance further with our company. I asked him recently, what is his dream job? And Brennan responded, well, I'm not quite sure yet, but this sure is a good fit, right, for now. So who knows? Maybe he's the next DVM or DM in our business. But let's give him a huge round of applause coming up to the front. Mr. Brennan French.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. All right, what's up, guys? I can talk to you guys a little bit about selling as a full-time student in college, like Nick said. I'm a full-time marketing major at Oklahoma Christian University. I'm a sophomore there, so I still got like 2 more years. But pretty much I'm going to share with you my personal story, why I love Vector so much, why I'm going branch, why I'm selling big this fall, and then I'll run through with you guys 5 keys to selling big this fall as well. Just some important key facts that I always like to keep on me at all times. So just start off with a personal story. Nick already kind of explained me a little bit. I've been with the company for a little bit over 1 month now. I've been promoted 5 times, including assistant manager, and then also a branch manager candidate going on the Olean trip as well. So that's going to be really, really fun. I'm super excited for that and see where that leads. Why I love Vector. Pretty much it boils down to 4 things. The most important one to me is the atmosphere. I love being around a group of people that just constantly being surrounded by positive energy, people that are always encouraging you, wanting to help you with your goals. Pretty much like a family, like a Cutco family, I guess you could say. But some people even in this office with me now, like Bailey and Claire, and even Ayame and Logan, you know, they helped me, especially Nick, helped me get to where I am now in just a short amount of time. So I don't know where I'd be without them as far as this job is concerned. And then, you know, just the skills that I'm learning, I probably wouldn't be able to learn these skills this fast or this quickly anywhere else. Just as far as sales, communication, time management, another vast majority of things as well. So that's one thing that I really like about this job. And then the ability for quick advancement. Like I said, I've only been with the company for a month. I've been promoted 4 times, and then, you know, along with assistant manager and branch manager candidate as well. So I'm excited to see as far as me moving forward, where that takes me. And I'm really excited about that. As far as why I'm going branch, mainly just to gain extra experience in opening, running, and closing my own business, especially with the major I'm in, marketing and advertising. This is pretty much like a really good internship for me. As far as experience goes, it looks good on a resume. If I would decide to move on at some point and go to try and get a top-level marketing job, they'll see this on my resume and might move me to the top of the list. Who knows? I'd hope so. But just to gain good experience in business management, marketing management, and then just sales as well is really good. And then, like I said, it's pretty much like a paid internship, which is something that I've been looking for lately. Through school, it's kind of tough to find internships, especially in the Oklahoma City area, especially at the college I'm at, Oklahoma Christian, because most companies usually, some that I've talked to only accept candidates from Oklahoma Christian, and some that have applied there for a while to begin with. And so this is kind of a good opportunity for me. And then the ability to work with a team, build my own team, all looking forward to achieving the same goals, just all working together. That's something I'm really, really excited for. That'll be a lot to do. And then, like I said, it'll allow me the opportunity to keep moving up through the company as well. And then the fourth one, why I'm selling big this fall. The main one is so I can continue to put money into my not into my fast start, whoops, to continue putting money into my startup account for branch next summer. Like Nick said, the more you have, the better. Just get you into recommendations for top, bigger territories, things of that nature. So that's kind of the main thing I'm trying to shoot for this fall. And then just build my career sales, continue to build my sales skills, as well as, leading through the sales report. Like I said, or like Nick was talking about influence earlier, leading through sales report is one of the big ways to influence people, especially in the company as well. And then just to gain more experience in order to teach the others that are going to be on my team when I do run a branch next summer. And then I'm going to kind of run through with you guys 5 keys that I think are pretty important in order to just having a big fall, having a big campaign, hitting Dirty 30 for the campaign, and even beyond that as well. So the first one is going to be mentality. You guys can go ahead and write these down. The first one's going to be mentality. So kind of go into every demo that you have with a set selling mentality. And even I struggle with this sometimes. I was talking to Bailey about it earlier. We were talking about my Olean homemaker, and I just went into the demo, with the mentality of, all right, all I have to do is sell a homemaker, so that's all I'm going to shoot for. When in reality, I probably could have gotten a bigger set out of them, but I was so focused on the Olean homemaker, which isn't bad because I got the Olean homemaker. But I could have gotten a bigger sell out of it if I just would have gone into the demo with a bigger set mentality. And then, get your mind right beforehand so you're 100% confident in your demo or going into your demo. And the biggest way I can think of doing that is calling your manager beforehand. If you're nervous, if you're just not confident, if you've been having a bad day, just call your manager and they'll try their best to get you pumped up as best they can, just so your mind is right before you go into the demo. So you're confident, so you can go in there, sell a set, and feel confident in yourself as well. The second key point I want to talk to you guys about is commitment, which is something I feel like we all struggle with a little bit, some more than others maybe, but I know I struggle with it from time to time. So the first thing I put down is you have to be 100% invested in what you're doing, or else you'll come out of it with mediocre results. So the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. That's pretty much the general point of that. So if you're not invested 100%, then you're not going to be selling those big sets, building your career sales, even with PRs, I'm still learning the whole PR thing. But, the more PR calls you make, the more confident you are, the more you're going to get out of it, the more PRs you're going to get booked, the more you're going to help the company. And then I put a little mark under that says all in. So going off that, you have to be all in. There's no other way to look at it. You're either all in or you're just not doing it at all. There's not really an in-between, because if you're an in-between, then you're just going to get, bored and tired, and you're going to think, well, why am I not, advancing? Why am I not making more sales? Well, that's because you're not putting in enough work, or as much as you should be, or just even working hard at it. So work hard, be invested 100% in what you're doing so you can get those top results. And then just make sure you're doing what you said you would do, as far as, booking phone jams in your schedules, 5 before, 5 after, scheduling PCs with your managers. Just make sure you're doing all those little things, and those will eventually get you to your goal. And then you pretty much have to trust the process. If you put in the work, the success will come. So trust the process, and then find someone or multiple people who can hold you accountable for your goals as well, which leads me into the third point, which is accountability. So the number one point I put on there is find an accountability partner. Find someone who will hold you accountable, that will help you achieve your goals and learn from your mistakes as well. Someone who's not going to put you down in your low points, but build you up and get your confidence built back up so you can go back out there and continue to make sales and build yourself up as far as your experience. And then, someone who will push you to work hard even when things are going great as well. So, you've gone through a week, you had a really good week. Say you had like a $3,000 to $5,000 week, but there's always room for improvement. You always could have done a little bit better here or there. So someone that'll continue to push you even when you're having a great week. Okay, this leads me into the fourth point, which is work ethic. Okay, so one thing that I would advise is build a very strong work ethic, which means, work hard while people are watching, but work harder when there's no one around to watch you. Because that's ultimately where building a strong work ethic comes from, because anyone can work hard while everyone's watching them, but you find very few people who will work hard while no one is around to watch them or keep an eye on them or make sure they're doing what needs to be done. Okay? Be the person that follows through with what you want to accomplish and set out to do, whether you feel like it or not, because, it's nice to have someone to hold you accountable, but at the end of the day, you're the only person that can truly hold you accountable for the stuff you want to do and set out to do yourself. So that's just a little bit about work ethic. And then the last point I have for you guys is time management, which is a skill that I've learned and gotten familiar with very much so throughout my short time here already. So pretty much just make the most out of every day. Make sure you have your planner and write down your schedule for every day. Plan weeks or even a month in advance so you know what's going on. Nothing's a surprise to you. Even, small things like, I'm doing laundry at this time. I'll do laundry at this time, homework at this time, 5 before, 5 after each maybe. Just make sure you have every little portion of your day planned out so nothing just jumps up and surprises you all of a sudden and just throws you off. And then just a little snippet in there. It's better to control your time than to let time control you, which I'm pretty sure I've heard Nick say that before. That's just a good little something to think about. And then even like for myself, even when I think my schedule couldn't get any busier, I know there's always several portions of my day or my week where I could have managed my time a little bit better so that I could have been more productive as far as my life goes, and then sales and my job, not only my job, but with school. So there could have been portions of my day where I spent 15, 20 minutes, on Instagram or just watching a little bit of a TV show when I could have been making at least a little bit of calls, to book up the rest of my week to make more sales, have a better week. Or there's been like an hour or so where I watched, a movie or just wasted time, and I could have been working on homework, for the next day or the day after that, So those are just a couple of key points. That's all I have for you guys. So not a long speech, but this was my first time, so I figured I'd keep it a little bit short. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you guys for allowing me to give this little speech for you guys.
All right. Round of applause. Nice job. All right. Good. Who has a couple of compliments, 1 or 2 compliments that we feel like he did well at? One of the reasons we're here is to grow personally, professionally, and financially. And if you ever want to be on the agenda, feel free to shoot me a text or tell me on one of our one-on-one calls. I'll be happy to put you on there. Right. But I also want us to make sure we get a little bit of feedback. So who wants to share something that Brendan did well at? Okay. Ayami?
You have a lot of good
A lot of good quotes. Excellent. Quotes are super powerful, right? A lot of people resonate with those better, so I like it. Claire?
I thought it was great that you don't talk too fast. You contain yourself and
I thought it was
had a
fucking
good
sick.
like timing to when you would pause and when you would start to like get quiet and stuff. So that was really good.
Cool. So not talking too fast. Sometimes we get nervous, especially if it's our first time, and we speak a little bit too rapidly. So keeping it at a good pace. Thank you, Claire. Yeah.
Great volume.
Okay.
Not too quiet, not too loud.
Cool. Good. So sometimes it's a little bit too much, and sometimes it's just not loud enough. So making sure that's appropriate. Good. Any others?
He is looking super good.
Super good.
Super
So
good.
dressed up, buttoned up shirt, got a nice blazer on, right? Making sure that he looks sharp and dressed to the nines. And by the way, those of you going to Olean, you better believe I expect you to be in a full suit and a tie. Like you're going into the Cutco freaking home in Mecca of like where this whole thing was created. Yes. So when you go there, like you need to dress nicer than you've ever dressed before, right? You're gonna be meeting the CEO of a $250 million marketing company. So keep that in mind. Cool. All right, good. Very good. Any criticisms, any things that he could improve on or get a little bit better at? Areas of improvement. The filler word is Good. So make sure you listen to that and take some notes on it. But Brendan, the filler word is
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Any others? Okay. So sometimes voice inflections, and sometimes we are excited as public speakers, but we forget to show that through our tone of voice, right? So excitement can be done in facial expression, being a little bit more animated with body language. Excitement also can be used based on your tone of voice or based on pitch and volume, right? So that can change too. So cool. It's getting really hyped up. I'm super pumped, and things like that. Good. Any other constructive criticisms? All right, sweet. One more round of applause for Brendan. Very nice work. Good news for you. It's on recording. So you can watch yourself if you want to learn. All right, next up, we got Logan Watson. And man, if there's one thing I love about Logan, I love his relentless mentality to never give up on things. And Logan is somebody who I've been very impressed with this year throughout his Leadership Academy, going out to Olean, almost a year ago, and being able to go from being in Olean to saying, yes, I want to run an office, to going into the January incentive push and being, I believe, the only winner out of the Great Plains Division in the region that was able to win the January incentive push. And he will tell you that it wasn't easy. He actually probably gave up multiple times during it, but then still pulled it out right at the end and was able to win himself a 4-day, 3-night, all-inclusive trip to Puerto Vallarta. And I'll tell you that once you go on a Vector trip, you never miss another Vector trip. There is 2 types of travel out there. There is travel, and then there's Vector travel. And when you go with Vector, it is a completely different experience than any other type of travel you've had. So not only did he win that, but then he ran a successful branch this summer. Remember, the only way to fail in running a branch is to what?
Not show up.
Is to not show up, right? Quit, basically, right? If you don't just show up, then that's a pretty big way to fail. But I showed up all the way throughout the summer. And at the end of the summer, took full advantage of direct 50%. And between July, or really just August and September, he sold over $13,000 at direct what?
Half, baby.
That does not suck. No quota. And this guy wrapping it up last week with over $2,000. Already this week over another $400. What are you at in career sales now, Logan? $41,000 in career sales, and by doing $13,000 between August and September, took full advantage of the kicker running a branch. He did not qualify at the $125,000 office quota, but when you sell $10,000 in August or $13,000 in August and September, you win the trip for 50% off. So Logan has done that now, and coming up in March, he'll be going to Cayman Islands, and he'll be going there for 7 days, paid for by the company. I guess 50% paid by him, but he's got the bank because of his sales. So I wanted him to give you some great tips on how to go big for Olean Push, what's allowed him to now have 2 back-to-back 10K push periods and be able to win 2 trips with the company, because we will be having another January incentive trip contest coming up this January, and it's the first 2 weeks of the year. And typically, if you sell $10,000 in those first 2 weeks, you get to go on a 4-day, 3-night trip, all inclusive to anywhere down in the Caribbean that we choose to go. We've gone to Jamaica, we've gone to Cabo, we've gone to Puerto Vallarta, and many others as well. So fired up to hear his talk, and I would definitely take some detailed notes. It's bring him up with a big round of applause. Logan Watson. Woo!
Awesome. So, I'm here to talk about why go big for the Olean push, and how great it is, and how to do that. And so, like, but first things first, I really like to talk about like how big Olean is. You guys might, like, if y'all haven't been, Olean's like the big, like for me, like me looking back on it, it was the biggest push of the year last year, because like it's the one time ever you might ever go to Olean. Like if you aren't planning on being Nick or above him, you are not going to go Olean again, most likely. And so like that is one of my biggest regret last year is not going big for Olean, just because like you won't ever go again, and you get and you might not ever see like the CEO of the company ever again. And like hopefully you guys do good enough to like go see his office. His office is amazing. Like I really hope everybody gets to see it. His office is like, there's like ultimate sets all around, and like and they're like all different colors. And I was like, man, dude, these are pretty cool. And then but besides that, I talk about like how to go big for Olean, and like me going into a big push. There's a lot of preparation for it. Just starting off, you have to build a ton of momentum into the push. It's super important, just because like it's like you having like that back to back 2 weeks. You're already feeling pretty good. You're already feeling like a baller, and you already feel like you can do it. And then like I want you to build like a bulletproof agile. And like that right there is like for me, it's like if let's say once you get Olean, if you you should be confident enough to go up to the CEO and place your plan on his table, and be like, I did this, and this, and that, and that's why I am not number one for this push. So like that includes like phone time. If you are planning on going big, you have to be at every half day call day. Be there before it even starts. Have a day, 2 months booked before Bailey gets here in the morning. Just to be like, I got before here, you know. And then after that, it's like half day call days and phoning. Like phoning is such a big deal. It's like you like 10 and ahead, just like Nick said a little bit ago. It's like normally you have five ahead, and that's fine. But now is the time to pick it up and go for 10 ahead, and then like I would go home tonight and talk to your mom and dad and all of your friends, and be like, hey, like for the next 2 weeks, I love you, and I'll see you soon. Because it was in the beginning of August. I told my parents, I said, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm about to win a trip to the Cayman Islands. I was like, and I kept telling them that. I was like, Mom, I'm about to go to the Cayman. Aren't you pumped? Like, and so what you should do is go up to your parents and be like, Mom, I'm about to win this trip. I'm not about to win this trip, but I'm about to win this competition in front of the CEO of the company, and like the dude's gonna be super impressed with me. Like he's gonna be like super stoked to see me. He's been hearing all these things about me, like, and I'm gonna show him what I'm truly made of, and like already have like and like one thing before preparation I really forgot about was a leads list. That's kind of a big deal, right? And so like building it, like tell all of your customers you're really low on leads, because you really are. Because like is anybody over 250 here?
Anybody at
250 leads? That means everybody here is low on leads. Everybody's here on low on leads. And then
Carmen does. Carmen does.
Good job, Carmen. Yeah, great job.
Sweet. And then after that, I want you to build a thermometer. I have used one in my lifetime. Like literally, I wish I used a lot more, and I'm starting to do that. Make it fun and super expressive and stuff like that. Because like if your customer, if you just open every book and they see your thermometer, like, man, this guy's been working super hard to reach his goals, and that's very impressive to them. And then we have the hard times. There's a lot of hard times during big push like this. I can tell you a whole bunch of stories of like how like I'm in tears a lot. Most people, if you really go hard, you're gonna end up in tears in the end. It's like super serious. I have a few moments, a few different people. Like for example, Bailey. Like in January, I called Bailey. Like we had a PC at 7 a.m. one morning. And like I had no demos ahead. The following night I was not happy with myself whatsoever. I was at the point I was like 4K away, and I was like, man, dude, my life sucks right now. Like I'm not gonna win Puerto Vallarta. Like this is not gonna happen. And then I was like, all right, we just need to call a few people. And so like I call a lot of people, and like I'll just talk and just I'm the guy who like complains. I'll really complain for like 5 minutes and it's over, and then I'll be good. But like I had like a 25-minute complaining session with Bailey over breakfast. And literally, we didn't do anything at all. I just complained for 20 minutes, and then after that, I had a 4K week, and then I won. And so like
day. Let's rephrase it. 4K day.
And so it really in the end, it's like it doesn't matter how you start. It's how you finish. And so you really just need to if you say you are going to go big, go big, no matter what, and stuff like that. And then that's all I got for you guys. Woo!
timing. Very good. What do we have for Mr. Logan Watson? Any things he did well at?
Don't stutter.
I love you.
I think he did really good with actually having a target list of like how to make push tangible.
Cool. So some good tips on how to make it more realistic and how he did it for himself, sharing stories. Thank you, Tyler. Good. Any others?
His excitement, just everything he's moving forward with, how excited Olan is and how excited he was, and even have him do, I can pitch you complain, but I'm excited about pitching you complain because I know after it's out, I'm ready to go and keep butt after.
Cool. So just operating at level 10 energy, and if it's complaining, it's like, I'm going to complain at level 10 energy until I get it out. But very good. Cool. I felt like you had a great sense of humor. You really engaged your audience and you had some good laughing points. So I think that was great. Any other good feedback for him?
I was going to say kept it fun, but you kind of said that.
Perfect. No, that's great though. If more than one person heard it. So yeah, thanks for sharing and reiterating that. So yeah, what was it that made it fun for you?
Just the engagement and the energy. It wasn't like a boring monotone speech lecture.
Cool. Yeah, and it sounds like it was more from the heart versus the head. I've seen some people get up there that write their speech out word for word, and they're like, thank you for being right. And it's like, oh, yikes, So if you write it all out and you read it, it doesn't come across well. But speaking from the heart really worked well. Good. Cool. Great job. Any constructive criticisms or areas of improvement? Give himself one, don't stutter, but thank you for that joke. Any others that he could have done better at? Just because it's a 40K doesn't mean he can't get better. Come on.
I thought it was pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it was only his second time on the agenda, by the way, in his career with us. And about to, if you didn't know this, plays ping pong at a very high level. Is ranked nationally, I believe. And he is moving out to Arkansas so he can pursue that and then eventually possibly down to Dallas and plans to continue to sell, already over 500 for this week, probably even higher now. That was as of yesterday. And I can't wait to be selling your 50K promotion as we move forward. So let's give him one more big round of applause. Very nice work, Logan. And super proud of you. All right. Cool, guys. Well, here's the deal. You need to go ahead and bust out your interview package. So all of you in the past should have gotten something that looks like this. It's called a vector video interview. If you don't have one of these, no worries. You need to raise your hand, and we'll get you one, and we can help you out. The vector video interview. So we're going to be discussing this right now, and what I want to talk a little bit more about is some of the things when it comes to this. My computer is having a hard time loading the PowerPoint. As far as this goes, but looks like I should be able to figure out and get it loaded. So we're going to be talking about the most important part of the interview today as we get this document loaded, and basically this is going to be along with a PowerPoint. By next summer, this PowerPoint will be non-negotiable in every single office, and we'll be using it properly and using it the right way. So I want to make sure we're all prepared for that as we move forward. But one of the things that I want to talk about is and basically what we're going to spend the next hour doing, or 45 minutes, is teaching what we call the post-video part of the group interview. And I think that we've got a lot of veterans in here. We've also got some newbies, and maybe you haven't even watched an interview yet, and that's totally fine. But the reason that so many of our skills right now are focused around, running good interviews, pre, the post, everything like that, is because this is a recruiting business. And so if you're going to take any notes on this, I want you to write this down, that you are a recruiter, You are a recruiter, or I am a recruiter. And your number one job when you're a branch manager or a district manager is to what? Recruit. That is it. Is what I'm doing right now recruiting more people? And if the answer is no to that, when you open up a brand new office, then immediately change what you're doing. Okay, most of our time that we spend in this business is based around recruiting new people. Why is that? Because, right? This is not one of those traditional jobs that people just like are like, oh yeah, McDonald's, I know about that place. Let me go in and apply for it, right? Like nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I wonder if a knife company's hiring. That's my joke, right? Nobody ever does that. So what do people do instead? Well, they find out about it, right? Through a lot of different formats, but it's your responsibility as the leader and manager of that territory to be able to go out there and find those people. Okay, so there's lots of different ways that we find them, but in the interview, when we finally get them in the door, that is our one opportunity to be able to make or break this somebody's future, right, with vector marketing. And I want you to think about your interview real quick, like legit think about it. And what I want you to do is I want you to make a list of the things that you were attracted to in your interview. And I know I'm looking at Claire right now. She's like, dude, this is like 2 years ago. Exactly. I want you to write down what were the things that were awesome in your interview. Veterans, you should be doing this too, right? And what I'd like to do is just a little bit of, maybe 1 or 2 minutes of sharing, like, what do we remember about our interview that made the interview, like, work, right? Like the interview that we were in, right? Whoever recruited us, right? Who was that person, right? And what was it about that interview that attracted us towards the job? Okay, so Claire, what would be one for you?
I don't think I had an interview because my brother worked here, but I did have an interview reception.
Okay.
The first thing that I remember, like, walking in was the sales manager coming up to me and greeting me, and she was dressed really nice, and I was based on it, and she was pretty. So, like, that was kind of like a warm welcoming because I was walking into a place and that was sketched out, and so seeing her was like, okay, this is cool. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Cool.
And then she kind of directed me on where to go, and then what I needed to go out, and the person that welcoming and made me feel comfortable and asked a lot of questions and was interested in me. So that's what I remember from it, and being like quiet Claire, feeling
Cool.
comfortable is not a moment.
Good. So let's write down some things, right? If you want to get better interview shows, number 1, don't be ugly. Okay. I'm kidding, but here's the deal. You should look nice, right? Like, let's be honest. Okay. By the way, in all seriousness, you are the visual representative of a $250 million marketing company. Do you look like it or not? Right? And when you're running an interview, or even if you're second manning an interview, dressing professionally, right? Making sure that you look good when you show up, okay? No, not like a slob or anything like that. I love that. Asking a lot of questions, I would add that to your list. Be interested, not interesting. Right? Whether you're second manning an interview or you're running an interview, your job is to be interested in them. You're interviewing them. Ask a lot of questions. Ask questions upon questions. Instead of just like, oh, so where are you going to school? And then you go to the next question, like go down that rabbit hole, right? Hey, where are you going to school? Awesome. How do you like it there? Cool. What's your major? How long have you wanted to do that? When do you plan to graduate, right? Now, a lot of that information is already on the application, but again, you got to be interested, right? Ask lots of questions. What else are some of the things that we remember?
During our post, I liked how you told me the qualities that you liked about me that you saw.
Cool. So compliments, right? I think that's something that you need to put down is we need to compliment people. What are the things that we see that they already possess, character traits that would allow them to be successful here, right? And being able to like go to bat for them, like justify and sell them why they'd be a good candidate for this job. Okay. I really like that. Yep. What else?
When I went to my interview, I was pretty
You guys are so funny. You guys are like little kids. Every time you talk, you're like, when Bailey interviewed me. He's my dad. He's the one who got me into it. So great.
He interviewed me 2 years ago and didn't accept.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, I walked in late. He was like super understanding. He was like, hey man, yeah, just grab a seat. Like not a big deal. Super relaxed. Then I went into the post and he was just like, he went in through the pre and post again because I was late anyways. He was just asking tons and tons of questions, but then when I was talking, like his full undivided attention was on me.
Cool.
Which made me feel special.
Huge. So by the way, it's not helping your case right now. Okay. All right. Number 1, right, is that you talked about, be patient. Who are we dealing with? We're dealing with high school students. We're dealing with college students. By the way, they don't have a lot of interviewing skills in the first place. In many cases, this interview that they go to is going to be the first interview they've ever been to in their life.
True.
They don't know, they have nothing to compare it to. And you being the interviewer, you've been through hundreds of interviews by that point. because that's your job. So there is going to be a night and day difference from the people you're interviewing, right, and the interviewer. And you've got to be able to relate to them. So I want you to write something down with this whole standpoint about being patient, and that is called enter their world, ETW. This is a really important concept with anything and everything you do. When I'm coaching, when I'm teaching, when I'm helping people, I can't think like a DVM. They're not a DVM. They haven't been around for 13 years. I have to remind myself, okay, if I were Carissa right now as a new district manager, how would I be thinking? How would I be operating the business, right? And what are the things that I know being at that point worked for me to take the next step and continue to grow? Does that make sense? So ETW. By the way, this works when you're entering a PC, when you're going into doing, something like the post interview. You've got to see where they're at, right? Enter their world, be in their shoes, and then from that perspective, you need to run the interview. Okay. So again, be present, right? That was another thing that he talked about. He asked a lot of questions, but the whole interview was just wrapped around me, and he was in the moment, right? No distractions. And that's tough. It's easy to think now when we're on Leadership Academy and we're all here, right? But when bullets are flying and you're in the middle of the summer and you just got a call where you had to cancel Ultimate, right? And then right after that, and you're already only at 1,000 for the week. And then you're like, well, great. Now I'm at like -1,000 for the week. This is brilliant, right? And, whatever's going on, bullets are flying. And then you've got to go and be present like that. Man, it's tough, right? It's a lot harder than you think. So be prepared to be engaged, be present. I love those things, okay? Perfect, good. All right, let's keep going. What's another one?
The energy from my guy. It was his only interview that he ran, but I don't know, something like that.
If that person that walked in here, what if that one person, right, is the next?
Back in my not on video interview, believe it or not, and seeing the products was really cool.
Cool. So the product presentation, making sure that they got to see it. So I think that's pretty big. Cool. All right. Anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I remember back a year or so ago. Nick, I was sitting in the waiting room all by myself, and Nick actually came over and introduced himself, and he actually got me really excited for the interview. And so I think having a good second man, a really positive person to do your second man, made the difference for me. Because after meeting him, I was like, I gotta work here now. And so and like I also remember like AMs are all running around, introducing themselves to me and all that. And it was just a really great environment.
Cool. So what creates a great environment, right? Lots of introductions, lots of bodies in the office, right? Lots of shaking hands. I love that, Arham, right? And you're never too good to go and introduce yourself. Even nowadays as a DVM, I love walking in there and saying hi to people, being able to just introduce myself. And that might be the last time I ever see those people, right? But I think it's a big deal getting to see, right, somebody bigger than that, right? Or, bigger than just the person interviewing. So very good. Well, I hope that you made a good list for yourself. And I want you to think about what makes a great group interview, okay? Well, first off, it has to kick off the right way. So if you want to talk about what makes a great group interview, that's what we're talking about today, you need to start off with a strong introduction. And we're not going to cover that strong introduction right now, but when you get into that room, right, you should have assigned seats. You should be taking charge. There should be a strong presence of the room, right, about where people sit. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get the interview started. Like when you're called, we're going to have some assigned seats. Grab your chair and your clipboard, bring it up, and be very intentional about what you want. And a lot of people, remember, they might come off as being cocky or rude to you. And you know why you're perceiving it that way? Because what that really is nervousness, right? You ask them to bring their chairs all the way up to the front, and their chairs are 5 to 10 feet away. And that's how that's where they set it. And it's like, hey, I don't bite, come on up, right? But until the room is perfect, we need to keep giving adjustments, okay, to make it set the way you want. I also like to command or demand respect, right, and control. And what I mean by that is making sure that their chairs are neatly aligned, right, that they look like professionals, and that also forces them to be a lot more engaged. I've seen some interviews in the group before where there's like 5 or 10 people, and the chairs are scattered. They're sporadic, right? You've got people sitting like this. that are like taking notes in the back. Then you've got the people who are like sitting there like, don't touch me, right? You got all these things. But if you make everything systematic and consistent, then you eliminate all of those problems, right? A lot of the problems that you can face in a group interview are ones that would easily be taken care of if you were just a little bit more in control, and present during the opening, okay? So again, making sure that happens. If you have your packet out, right, one of the things you do is you do a strong group interview. One of the things that you should do when you open it up is talk a lot about why you're qualified to be running the interview. And I hope that everybody sees when it says group interview. Again, my name is blank, my position is blank. I started blank ago and I'm a student. I want you to write down, right, that you need to tell your story. Please write that in there. Now, your story is not 5 minutes, but your story needs to be presented. Okay, so while it's on recording and everybody can hear, right, I'm going to pretend you guys are in an interview, right? I'm always standing for this. Right now I'm sitting just for the video, but I'm always standing normally. So here would be my introduction. Once everybody's seated, I would say, great. Well, before we get started, again, my name is Nick Matlack. I'm the division manager of the Great Plains Division. I've been with the company now for 13 years, and I found out about this job as a college sophomore at the University of New Mexico all the way back, in 2006. Before working here, I had never done a job in sales. I had worked in an after-school program watching kids. I had done a job in landscaping. So really, I had no people skills, and I was not exactly as confident as I am today. I was able to find out about the job. Initially, when I started, I planned to work here for 2 weeks and pay for a snowboarding trip and then quit. Clearly, things have not gone as planned. It's been the best job I've ever had. I love the people. I love the products. I love the programs, and that's what's kept me around. I was able to make $2,500 in my winter break. I won a scholarship in my first 4 months, and right over here on the wall, we have the All-American Scholarship brochure. I was able to work throughout 3 years in college, win 4 of those, and graduate completely debt-free with the corporation. So in 2009, I got my degree in architecture. I realized it was more of a hobby than a passion, so I stuck with this company. I ran an office for 3 years in Albuquerque. We were nationally ranked. Got moved to Denver, ran that for 4 years. We were nationally ranked. And then in 2016, I was kind of at a place where I needed to move up or move on. I've got 2 beautiful children, an amazing wife, and I wanted to put her through college debt-free. So decided to move up. I moved my beautiful family out here to Oklahoma. You can see over on the map, we've got a bunch of black dots as possible office territories. There was only 1 of those open when we started, and then we've grown every single year. So in 2017, or 2016 when I came out, we had 5 offices and we sold just under $1 million. By 2017, we had 8 offices and we grew to over $2 million. This year we have 11 offices and we should finish just around $3 million. So we are the fastest growing division in the company right now, and we're looking for champions and we're looking for leaders, and that's why we're having this interview today. So welcome. Right? And then I'll dive into, I'm going to play a short video that will explain the full position detail. There's 5 simple questions to answer throughout the video, right? And that's where I pass out that sheet. And I say, don't worry about the essay questions on the bottom. We'll fill these out at the end. There's also a line that you can write in there, and that is this. At the end, you may be interested or not interested in the job. Either way, I'm still going to meet with you one-on-one as a professional before you leave. What that eliminates is people walking out in the middle of the interview, right? Which none of us want. Cool? Cool. And then at that point, you say, great, make sure to take good notes. So if you are accepted, you can share the details with your family. Go ahead and flip over your position description, and you can use the back for notes. So here we go. Play the video. Cool? All right. So what did we notice about opening comments there? The strong opening comments.
Very confident.
Confidence, right? I knew my story, yes? Why do I know my story? Because I've told it so many times. But also because when I was in my initial leadership academy, we had to literally script everything out word for word and then give it to our manager. So one assignment for you to take from today's leadership academy is to script out, right, your introduction for the interview. Word for word, script it out. What is your story? And even if your story is only 1.5 months, I think that's even more inspiring. Hey guys, started 6 weeks ago. Heard about the job, through a buddy. He recommended me. I came in. I'd never really done sales, but I figured I'd make some quick cash. And after doing it, I loved it. I was able to hit 3 promotions in my first 2 weeks on the job. I was able to get a 250% pay raise, which definitely didn't suck. And then when I really started explaining what I wanted to do with my future, the manager noticed that he had a management position open for me. So what I love about this company is how quickly somebody can advance, blah, blah, blah. Now you talk about that. And because I've been able to work hard, I put myself in a position where now I'll be going out to Olean and I'll be opening up, I have the potential to open up my own office next year. Now my story's definitely evolved and changed over the years, right? But what I think is important is that you're hitting on the few things, right? Number one, okay, here's a list of what you should talk about during your story. should be talking about how you heard about the job. Okay, you should be talking about what types of jobs you've done in the past. What's your goal here? To be relatable. Most of the people that come in for interviews, have they ever done sales before? No, this is the first for them. So you need to be relatable. You need to be somebody that they can, right, they can look at and say, ooh, that could be me. Another thing you need to talk about is your timeline. How long you've been here. Okay? And again, you shouldn't be bragging about yourself, but you should definitely discuss your accomplishments. What have you accomplished so far? How many promotions? What trips have you gone on? What events have you attended? Okay? So that's kind of like past, right? And then what you can talk about is present. What am I currently doing now, right? What is your title? What is your position? Okay? And talk about what you love about the office or what you love about the company, right? Doesn't have to be long, very brief. And then the last thing is you should talk about the future. What are you training to do? What are you excited about? Right now, if I keep doing blank, it's going to put me in a position where I have an opportunity to do blank. What I love most about the Vector company is that people that really work hard can advance at a very rapid rate, especially because we're a newer division. Okay? And one last thing I think is important, and we'll talk about goals later on, but you've got to talk about the rapid growth. What we've branded ourselves as the Great Plains Division is the fastest growing division in the what? In the company, right? We're the fastest growing division in the company. We're growing by over $1 million every single year, right? We were the last place division and we're building it to be in the first place division. And this is what we're branding, right? Every single person that's going to be recruited and interviewed by us needs to know our story. They need to know our rapid advancement. And by the way, if I come in for an interview and I have a young person that's only been here for 6 to 8 weeks and they're confident and they're good at their interview and they're already in that role, man, I'm looking at that and I'm like, geez, this is a place that if I put my best into, I can move up quickly too, right? And that's something that I'm going to relate to. Everybody with me on that? So those are a couple of the checkpoints you need to do during the opening comments of the video. Cool? Now it says play video interview. You got a couple of options to play this. Option A is you can be using something like our PowerPoint, which I'm going to show you guys now, which I think is pretty cool. Option B is if you don't want to use the PowerPoint, you can go ahead and go to ourvirtualinterview.com. If you go there, you will just go ahead and have to put in your name and your email, right? You can put in the same one multiple times, but when you put that in, that's going to allow you to be able to share this with them as well. It's the same video interview. It's 19 minutes long. There are 20-second pauses every so often throughout it. And one of the things that's really important is for you to not leave the room. Or if you do leave the room, don't leave too far because sometimes people have questions or their pen dies or something like that. And your job should just be able to observe them taking notes and really review their application as well. And if you're a newer recruiter, what you could be doing is reviewing your post-interview, reviewing your wrap-up to the group, and being to put yourself as being most prepared for those things as well. Cool? All right. Any questions on opening comments of a group interview? Any questions on playing the video or things like that? All right, perfect. Let's talk about the next big thing. So next big thing of this, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, but we're going to talk about the PowerPoint we've created. And if you're not using a PowerPoint in your office right now, we highly recommend it for every interview. So when you use the PowerPoint, this is the one that we are using in the Great Plains Division and certainly in the pilot. But right below here, when the video finishes, right, see where it says wrap up? I need you all to write in right here, okay? You need to show the product. Show the product, okay? And I'm gonna edit this scripting, and I'm gonna put it in there. But in our division, we show the product every time. I believe that our company is based around 3 things: people, products, and programs. And so we must show the product, okay? So how do we show the product? Well, you can make a list for it, but number 1, what I like to do is when the video finishes up, I like to walk up and say, great, guys, well, now you know about our people and our programs, but what you haven't really seen is our product, which is one of my favorite parts. So does anybody have a penny? And it's very important that you understand that when you're showing the product, you're not selling Cutco. You're showing Cutco. There's a significant difference between that. Do not do your normal sales pitch that you do in a demo, okay? Don't ask the normal questions. It's just da-da-da-da-da, get through it real quick, okay? This wrap up to the interview, including showing the product, should never take more than 10 minutes. Honestly, this last section, maybe 5 to 10. That way, from the moment you start your opening comments till the end of the group interview, it's only about half an hour. Now, when I used to have to say everything and write it on the board and we didn't have a PowerPoint or a video or any of that, I remember running interviews, group interviews that were over an hour of me talking, okay? Thankfully, I don't have to do that anymore, right? So we've come a long way. But again, it should not be any longer than 30 minutes. Everybody with me on that? Cool. So let's talk about what you do. Hey, does anybody have a penny? Okay, great. Now, I want to go ahead and show you our super shares, right? And we do a quick penny demo, right? After we do the penny demo, we just talk about this question. I say, hey, so what impressed you more, me or the product? Yeah, exactly, the product. What we love about this company is the product sells itself. We don't really need salespeople. In fact, 95% of people I've worked with never done sales in their life. So we're not well known for our cutlery or for our shears. We're actually most well known for our cutlery. And what I'll pull out is I'll pull out a junk steak knife. Does this look like a pretty typical steak knife? Okay, perfect. And I always want right in the front my best people sitting there. And whoever that is that I feel like I really want on my team, they're the one I'm going to do the leather cutting demo with, right? So I hand them the steak knife. I say, here you go. Go ahead and saw through the leather for me, right? And I say, great. So you can see I was kind of ripping and shredding. What we use is a little bit different. It's a patented edge called the Double D. Go ahead and try it out. Just push down and towards me. Boom. And they're amazed by it. And then what I'll do, even in the summer where there's like 10, 15 people in my interview, I will walk around and have every single person cut the leather with our knife. I want them all to have a hands-on experience of what it's like to go through the leather, okay? Cool? After I finish that, right, I'll walk back up and say, cool, that's why most of our clients end up buying sets of like 8, 10, or 12 of those, just because they're so awesome, and they're used for everyday meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, we also have over 100 different products that we sell, anywhere from flatware to cookware. We also have some amazing gadgets, and I'll ask this question. Does anybody like pizza? Okay, cool. I love pizza, but I hate cleaning because it always gets stuck back here. And I'll take out the pizza cutter, take it apart, and show it. That's why ours comes apart, dishwasher safe. Plus, if this thing never breaks, what do? Replace it for free. Okay? And the last thing is we also sell hunting, fishing, gardening tools, and we actually have an ownership of K-Bar, which is a standard issue military knife. Now, does anybody here like to fish? Now, here in Oklahoma, what do you always get as an answer?
Yes.
Yes. Does anybody here like to fish, or do you know somebody who does? Oh, yeah, for sure. Cool. We've actually been rated the #1 fishing knife in the entire world by the Peterson's Fishing Guide. Let me show you why. And I'll explain the fisherman's solution, right? I'll go through the details, then I'll pass that around. Cool? So if you didn't get that down, I want you to write down your package, show the product, and what are the 4 things we're showing? We're showing the super shears, then we're doing the
steak knives,
table knife for steak knife, right? Then we're doing the pizza cutter, and then we're doing the fisherman's solution. Cool? So boom, 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 you work through those. Okay? And then you're going to go into your wrap-up right here where it says switch to the local office PowerPoint. All right? So I'm sharing my screen right now. Hopefully you guys are all seeing this, and it talks about our team. One of the things that we need to do, because the video doesn't do a very good job, and I can't promise that that'll be edited or changed by next summer, but we're working on it, right, is really talking about higher levels of pay. There's 2 options to cover higher levels of pay. Option A is you can go ahead and do a little bit of a stump speech right before you jump into it. Option B is you can wait till later in the PowerPoint where you talk about the perks. And when you do, you can talk about income and cover the pay there. It's up to you, but you definitely need to talk about bigger expectations for pay. Okay. One of the things we're in discussion with right now is possibly bumping our base pay from $15 up to $18 per appointment, just to attract a lot more students. And I think $15 is cool, but $18 is really cool, right? And if people know they're getting $18 per appointment, they might be a lot more attracted to be a part of our organization. You know, another thing that I want you guys to know is that when you're breaking down the math with them, right, the video shows a lot of part-time examples, but it doesn't talk about full-time work. And so you definitely want to cover that too, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Sound good? All right, so any questions on the product section and sharing those? We all good? All right, sweet. We're about 25 minutes away from role playing, so this is great. All right, so here we go. Next thing is we're going to jump into the wrap-up. So it says the wrap-up, and I always like to talk about our team. So guys, before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit more about our team. This is last year's group of managers. If you didn't know this, we actually take our managers out to Niagara Falls, which is about 45 minutes away from where our product is made, and we do that once every single year. And this was the group of managers that opened up offices last year, and we're out there on that trip. I can't wait for next year's photo to be able to replace this right in a month and be able to see all your smiling faces on there. So it's going to be a blast with everybody going to Olean. If you're not going to Olean, go to Olean. It's going to be great. All right, here we are. Claire, where are you? Are you in there? Where are you? Right there? Gotta find my computer. There's Claire. There we go. There's Claire. There's Logan. Oh, look at that smiling face. They're all faking it. It's actually really cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Just one. So anyway, the next thing that we do is we move on to the next slide. And I like to say, so I'm going to read along. It says, to wrap up this portion, I want to share a little bit about our team. Our most successful reps have 3 fundamental traits. Number 1 is they have a positive attitude. Honestly, guys, one of the things that's kept me around is I love this business because I work with positive people. And so I'm very picky about who I put on the team, and negative people suck. So I just don't let them work here. And I'm very blunt about that. That also means that the people that I do put on my team are surrounded by a bunch of other positive people. So do you think they like working here? And everyone's like, yeah. By the way, what's one of the biggest complaints about working at other jobs? The environment and the people you work with. So that's one of the number 1 reasons why people leave other jobs. So if we tell them we have an awesome environment with positive people, they're going to be attracted to that. Okay. Second thing that we look for is people who have a strong work ethic. Now, guys, this doesn't mean that they work all the time, but it does mean that when they work hard. We certainly have people who take full advantage of the flexibility. We even have reps on our team that only have time to work 1 or 2 days a week, but when they work, they do their best. And this is one of those jobs that what you put in is what you get out. And so lazy people end up failing here because they don't do much. I'm not saying that those are bad people. There's a lot of jobs that you can be lazy with out there, but this is not one of them. And I don't want to waste their time or ours. So we look for people who work. Okay. And again, you don't have to go into the extra bit of this, but I think those extra 10 or 15 seconds make a difference. Cool. And the third thing that we look for is we look for somebody who follows our program. We look for somebody who's coachable. To be honest, in a job like this, we have a program that works. It's been working for 60 years. So we don't need anybody to reinvent the wheel. But I have had people who've gone through my training before that are pretty cocky and a little bit arrogant. They want to do it their own way, which means they don't follow the program. And not only do they fail, but they end up representing us the wrong way, and that negatively brands our company. And in a company like this, where we're purely based off of reputation, we can't afford that in our territory. So do you see why we're pretty picky about that? Everyone's nodding their head. Do you notice as I go through these questions, I'm asking rhetorical questions? This is how I'm keeping them engaged. This is how I'm answering, nodding my head. That means they understand. And then at the end, I say, so basically, as long as somebody has a positive attitude, a great work ethic, and they're coachable, we can train them to succeed and sell Cutco. And what you're doing there is showing how simple this job can be. Young people, especially students, don't want something too complicated. And if you give them too much detail too soon, they end up being turned off. Well, that's not what we want. Cool. So then you move to the next thing. You say, this job's not for everybody. About 80% of the reps who start here love it. They get great experience and they make really good money. 20% after a couple weeks realize it's just not the right job for them. Now, I don't think that's because they're bad people or a bad company. It's just sales takes the right personality type. And we never know until we try. But at least they leave with great experience and a really good resume builder. What are you doing there? You're giving them an out. You're also giving them permission to try out the job without any risk. Everybody with me on that? So really important that you highlight that and you go through it. Sweet. So then it goes into the perks. So right here where it says what I love most about working here, I want you to write next to that perks. So you're going to write down perks, and this is in the actual PowerPoint. So now you click to the next slide. It says perks. And here we go. Then we're on to the perks section. So before I wrap up, I want to talk about what I love most about working here, the perks of the job. One of my favorite parts about this job is the income. And I love the income. I love that what somebody puts in is what they get out. And I love that I have students that are 18 to 19-year-olds that make more money than their mom and dad for a week. Isn't that crazy? And then what I'm going to do is just tell stories and stories and stories about recent examples. Now, if you're a new manager opening your office, you don't have a lot of stories yet. So what should you tell? Tell stories about all the other offices that are open. Tell stories about your own experience going through your Vector office and really get people tied into that, okay? So when I get to income, I talk about how I love that we recognize income. I love that we have people that within their first 1 or 2 weeks have made anywhere from $1,000, $2,000. We even had a rep that made over $3,000 in their first 2 weeks of the job. Now, again, this isn't everybody, but not everyone's willing to work hard. In fact, recently we just had a representative in our office. His name's Dylan Ruth, and Dylan's a full-time student right now going to UCO, all right? And right now, Dylan actually had never done sales before working here, but he worked his butt off. In his first few days, he was able to sell over $3,000, and in his first 2 weeks, he was able to sell over $10,000. That means, as you remember with the income, he went from 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way up to 30%. He had a 3% raise, had 4 promotions in his first 2 weeks, and made over $2,000. Not bad for being a full-time college kid, huh? Now, at the same time, we have reps, and so what I'm doing is I'm going high-low here. I'm talking about really great examples of hard workers, and then I'm also sharing other examples. We also have students on our team right now that already have another job. They already are really busy with school or extracurricular activities. And they just don't have a lot of time in their schedule. But we're cool with working with them too because they set their own schedules and they can tell a lot more of those stories too. But again, relatable and making sure that they can be confident in the type of thing. He actually knocked out, this week $14,000, and this week he's going to make $4,000. Now, guys, that doesn't happen all the time. In fact, in 13 years, that's the first time I've had a new rep like that have that big of a week before. But the beauty about travel, Raise Your Travel company allows us to travel. In fact, before working here, I didn't even have a passport. After working here in my first 3 months, I went to Cancun for 4 days, 3 nights, all inclusive. It was paid for by the company. I got my passport just to get there. And then I always point to the posters. Okay, here's an assignment. You need to check your office. And if you don't have examples of vector travel on the walls, talk to your district manager. They have a file with all of the same posters that I've got that they can print and get laminated at one of their staples. Doesn't cost much, and they can get it up on the walls. But if you don't see it, right, it's not promotable. It's got to be up on the walls. So get those posters up and talk about all the vector travel. If you haven't been on a vector trip, brag about all the people that have been on a vector trip, right? And talk about how awesome it is, okay? And get on your first vector trip, that too, right? But talk about the awesome places. I love this company because at most jobs, they don't even let you travel. And if you try to take time off, they're not happy about it. This job pays for our travel. Not to mention, some of our managers are able to actually make money while they're on vacation, which is pretty sweet. So we've been to all types of places. In fact, last year, we were able to go to Munich, Germany. There was also a trip to Puerto Vallarta. Pretty soon, we're going to be going up to Niagara Falls and over to the Canadian side. Coming up here, we're going to be going to blank. They're going to tell us next week. I can't wait. Okay, I know. Like Claire's like freaking out right now. She's like, what trip am I gonna get? It's gonna be great. I know. And they normally go warm and then cultural. So we've gone from Munich now to Cayman Islands. So we're probably going back like cultural style. And I'm curious to see if that's gonna be Europe or something different. It should be pretty sweet. So I don't know. But there's a lot of places around the world that we have not gone. I would love to go to Croatia. That's my choice. That's what I put in as my bid, but I've got no control over that. So we can talk about that. Also in Olean, you guys are going to learn about the January incentive trip. So you can be bragging about that. Hey, we've got an opportunity right now for not just managers, but also reps to qualify to go to a trip to Jamaica for 4 days, 3 nights, all inclusive. It's pretty sweet. And we pay the whole bill. So if you like to travel, you'd probably fit in really well here too. We also have vector conferences all throughout the United States. In fact, next week we're going out to Hollywood, and pretty soon we're going to be going up to Niagara Falls, and then soon we'll be going down to Texas. People enjoy travel, and nothing against this state, but what I've noticed after running an office in 4 different states is there are a lot more people in Oklahoma that don't travel much than any other place I've lived, right? Like just, I'm like, where's the coolest place you've gone? And they're like, I went to Branson, Missouri. Texas. Yeah, or Dallas, Texas. I'm like, cool, what else? And they're like, yep, Dallas, Texas. Okay, right? I've never been on a plane. Bailey was that way. Bailey had never been on a plane before, didn't even have a passport. He's had so many firsts with vector marketing. Pretty exciting, right, on where this business can take you. So again, remember, who are we working with? We're dealing with high schoolers and college students, right, and things like that. Everybody good on the travel? Yes? Okay, cool. Next perk of the job that I love is the fun. And I'm not even going to do my stump speech on this, but you should share stories about having fun. I love that this job is fun. I love that our people like the job and they want to come back to work. And most jobs, right, when you're off of work, what's the first thing that you do? Run as far away from work as you can. At a job like this, our people run back to work. In fact, we have team night outs and team meetings. We have fun costume contests. And we actually like the people that we work with. Many of them hang out outside of work because they like each other so much. And I love that there are a bunch of young college students that are professionals that are going after hitting really big goals and growing themselves in the best version of themselves in a fun way. Right? What are people attracted to? Nowadays, they've done studies. Students are more attracted to a place that they'll have fun than a place that pays them off. They want something enjoyable more than ever before. And I think we've got that, right? Cool. Next thing that you should talk about, right, after you talk about the fun, is you should really talk about the experience. But probably the biggest thing that I love most about this job is the experience. In fact, as a young person, there's nothing more important than gaining great what? Experience. And at the end of the day, in a job like this, our students are able to learn skill sets that people that are 25, 30, and even older don't have. And nowadays, big corporations, they're not looking for somebody with a great degree or a great GPA. Because honestly, the people you apply against are going to have similar GPAs, similar degrees, and they're going to have similar types of experience. So what are they looking for? They're looking for soft skills, things like time management, goal setting, people skills, communication. Those are things that you're just not going to learn in the classroom. And we're able to give our people an opportunity to gain all of those skills on a daily basis. And then I'll even go as far as saying this. I've dealt with a lot of young people, and what I've found is that some of them don't feel like sales is valuable for their future. And I'm okay if this job isn't right for them because it's not the right job for everybody. But before they always leave, I let them know that sales is life and life is selling. And it doesn't matter what you do in life, you're always selling something. You're selling a product, you're selling an idea, you're selling a service, right? Or you're selling yourself. And if you can't sell, you won't succeed. And what our students love is that they gain the fundamentals of sales by working for Vector Marketing so that they can apply that towards anything they want to do in their future. Not to mention, most young people your age, they have 4 types of jobs. There's nothing wrong with these jobs, but they're the 4 types of jobs that I always see. And these are the jobs that everybody can do and anybody has had. Excuse me. The first one is manual labor. Dab, was that Deb? I'm glad that's on recording. The first one, right, is that they do manual labor. Now, this is something like landscaping or, maybe working at a construction place. Second category I see is somebody that's working, at the mall and retail or doing something with folding clothes. Third one I see is somebody being a receptionist at the front desk or somebody in a call center. And the fourth one I see is, I'll just call it food, but this is a server, a busser, somebody doing dishes or, somebody that's a hostess. Nothing wrong with those jobs, guys. They're the same 4 jobs that everybody's had and anybody can do, but honestly, they're not going to stand out on a resume. But when somebody's worked for us, whether it's 2 months or 2 years, they're able to put on their resume that they worked for Vector Marketing. When somebody says, well, what'd you do for Vector Marketing? They're able to say, well, basically I was trained how to run my own business. I was able to schedule my own appointments. I was able to gain my own leads. I went to people's homes and made them feel comfortable in their kitchen with sharp objects. I also was able to go ahead and write up my own orders, close my own deals, be my own cashier, and manage my own schedule to help a manager. So basically ran my own business. I don't know what we're applying for, but I guarantee you we're going to have a good shot at getting that job because of the skills we've got. Right? So I'm really intentional about sharing that with them and covering that as well as we move forward. Everybody with me on that? Okay, cool. All right, so that's really the experience. And then I'll even go as far as talking about the branch opportunity and the district opportunity, talking about some of our earners and talking about how American Scholarships, the DECA program, right, and talking about how we have people that have been in the business for less than a year already getting promoted to district manager and so forth. Cool. So that's the experience section. And the last thing that I'll do is I'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about the competition. Say, hey, and I really like that we're friendly competitive. Anybody here competitive? Is it the athletes that are all competitive? Great. Well, competitive people do very well in a job like this. What's nice about ours is it's friendly competition. Everybody still wins, right? But our ones that are really competitive love pushing themselves, and that allows everybody to hit their goals and make more money as well. So as I wrap up my perk section, I do want to talk about and remind everybody about our virtual demo program. I know that many of our reps on our team don't have a vehicle or they don't know a lot of people in the area because they're not from here, and we are totally cool with that. We actually have the entire presentation online. We have a lot of students that are sitting in their dorm room in their apartment in their PJs talking on the phone, presenting some videos online and making money doing just that. Isn't that awesome? So that's something that if you have questions about, we can talk more in the post. Last thing I'll talk about is just one of the other perks, and that is our sample program. What's beautiful about this is that in most sales companies, they actually expect that you buy in or have a monthly membership. In our company, we don't. What's awesome about it is we actually loan over $400 with a brand new Cutco to our reps. There's no deposit. There's no payment for this. Now, one more reason why we're a little bit picky and selective on who we put on the team, yeah? All right, great. But what's great is they get to borrow it, demonstrate it, use it at home. When they're done working here, we have them bring it back and drop it off with us. Or if they ever want to, they can go in and buy it for a 75% discount, which means, as you can see, they get $400 worth of stuff for $89 plus tax. So after a couple of solid paychecks, what do you think most of our reps do? Buy their kit. At least that's our hope for them. And if they never buy it, that's totally fine. But once they buy their kit, they own it and they'll have it for the rest of their life, which means now they can use Cutco as a fallback income forever. And so Cutco whenever and wherever forever. So you better believe a couple of them buy it. Great. So let me go ahead and wrap up the interview. What I want to talk about is our vision. And now we're into the next page. So if you flip this over, at the top here, you'll see something that says stump speech, interview assessment, and personal recruiting. Everybody good on that? All right. So let's wrap this up. It says stump speech. So right now, we're the Great Plains Division. As I mentioned, we're the fastest growing division in the company. What they're seeing up here is they're seeing a picture of everybody at year-end banquet from our division. We had a big group that went last year, right? We also are showing the Cutco car that we take photos in front of, and then some of our Olean achievers from last year as well. So pretty exciting. So then what you're going to do is you're going to say, we're the Great Plains Division. I know it says Rocky Mountain, but you can cross that out. Our division manager is Nick Matlack, over $12 million in career sales, holds national sales records in the company, personally coaches and mentors our managers and our top reps, and he's launched over 30-plus successful offices during his career. And next to him here, we've got Lloyd Reagan and Bruce Goodman, just so if you don't have to say that, but if you ever get those questions, you know who those gentlemen are. Okay, so it doesn't say I have not won 10 national championships. Drew has, but I've come out of a national championship division, right, of Rocky Mountain. So it's another thing that you can talk about. Cool. Then you talk about our office. So our office, you should always have a slide talking about your team, talking about the fun and the culture that we've got, and then making sure you talk about whoever your district manager is. If you're the district manager, you can definitely highlight a couple of your snapshots. But in our office is actually managed by Bailey Homan. And if I'm running this, I brag about Bailey, right? Here's a really big tip to write down about your interview. You need to build up the trainer. Whoever the person is that runs training in your office, you need to make them feel like a freaking rock star, and you need to brag about their skills and their experience and their talent and build confidence in these applicants that going to training would be in their best interest. Cool? So how good are you at building up your manager? It's a really good question to answer. So what's great about Bailey is actually somebody who came in here. Never before his leadership had an office done over $1 million in sales in the state of Oklahoma. And after he came in, we didn't just hit $1 million. We did over $1.5 million. And this year we're up again for the year, and we're pacing for over $2 million. We've broken every single division monthly office record this year, and we've developed Bailey's developed multiple people to do over $10,000 in their first 10 days. So if there's anybody who knows how to train people right and get them off to a strong start making money, it's definitely our manager, Bailey. So building them up. Cool. Next thing you do is you're going to talk a little bit more about your office goals, right? And you can, again, edit the photos or whatever you want, but now you're bragging about the office goals. So when we talk about our office goals, this year we're shooting for $1 million in the summer. We missed that a little bit, but we're going for a record-breaking all-time year and fall. And this year we're placing to have the first ever $2 million year in the Great Plains Division as well. And we're really fired up about that. So in order to get to those goals, we need to have some more development. And right now we've got a total of 7 on staff, but we're always looking for more. Many of these people will be opening up offices soon, and you can kind of see we've got to edit this a little bit, right? This is an older version in copy, but a lot of question marks on there, right? And you should be constantly promoting how you've got more staff and you've got more people that you are looking for to be able to get on the team, so on and so forth. Cool? So that's pretty much the interview, guys, at this point, and now we're into the interview assessment, right? Cool? And that's where you're sharing your goals for the fall, for the month, for the week, whatever, getting them tied in. So those are the details of the job. I'm going to come around and check the first 5 questions on your assessment sheet. If I have you continue, there's 3 simple essay questions to fill out. And after that, I will meet with you one-on-one very briefly before we get you out of here. And what we're looking for is that 5th question. The 5th question is, are you interested in Vector seriously considering you as an applicant, right? Can you grab me one of those, please? But basically it says yes or no. By the way, if they're not seriously interested in us considering them as an applicant, and that's marked a no, it means that something turned them off in the job. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means the job's not right for them, right? Now, that also doesn't mean that you can't recruit them. I've had people who've marked a no, and if they mark a no, I want to get those people out of my room as fast as possible. Does that make sense? Because I want those people to meet with me and then move on. Now, sometimes I pull them back, and once I pull them back, I've noticed that, so it says, are you interested in a position with Vector? We've simplified it. All right, so it says yes or no. If they mark no, hey, I'm going to pull them back, but I'm still going to be a professional. So Brendan, why don't you come back with me? I'll sit down in the post. I can teach you that another time, right? But basically, hey, how do you feel about the interview? I just don't feel like the job's really right for me. Okay, cool. We'll have a seat real quick. Is there anything specific that's kind of holding you back? And if I like the person, I'm going to try to re-recruit them, right? If I don't like the person, it's like, hey, no big deal. Job's not right for everybody. Thanks so much for your time today and coming in. Let me go ahead and give you this packet. If you're ever interested in the future, feel free to reapply. Thanks so much. Send them on their way, right? Don't want to waste too much time. But if that's somebody I really want, like I've had some without me trying my best to get them recruited. Make sense? Okay, cool. So keep that in mind. Last thing you're going to do is the personal recruiting part. We're just going to read through this, but you can watch on some tips. Your goal is to get an average of 7 or more names and numbers from every applicant in the group interview. That's the goal. Now, some of you might have a goal of 10. I would say 7s are standard. And the way you do that is by being very confident You do not want to make this name collection, okay, sound like it's high pressure or pushy. First off, that's illegal, right? You can't be like, oh, yeah, if you don't give me 10, while you're still in my room. But there have been people in vector marketing in other areas of the United States that have made it almost seem like if you don't give me names, I don't give you a job. Okay, never ever do that. So here's the key phrase, however you say this. Somewhere you need to write this on your packet, all right? Invitation, not obligation. If it's not on there, we need to make sure it is. So, guys, when you're done filling out the front side, go ahead and flip your sheet over to the back. We love to build the team through friends because it's a lot more fun that way. In order to hit our goals, we need a big team full of great people. One of the only companies I know that's currently hiring right now that has great experience. The job market is currently pretty tough and pretty horrible for most students, and they don't know where to look. So just so you guys know, this is an invitation, not an obligation. But if you want to take your interview assessment sheet, put it over to the back. We've got space to write down name, phone number, and relationship with anybody that you think might be interested. By the way, we understand these people are probably not going to know who we are at the beginning. So if you write a name on here, all we're going to do is send them a quick text, right, and let them know about what we have available. They're feel free to ignore us. If they do ignore us, we won't hold it against you. If they respond rudely, we've had bad days too. But if they respond rudely or they ignore us, we'll delete their number and we'll never talk to them again. So it's not like we're going to bother your butts. But if they are interested and they come in for an interview, there's some really big benefits both for them and for you. So right now, I'm sure you all know people who don't have a job. They have a job and they hate their job. They have a job and they don't give them hours of their job, right? Or maybe they just don't think they can get a job because they haven't found a place that would be flexible enough for them. Well, we've got benefits and opportunities to work with all those types of people. My philosophy is I'm totally fine with people not being interested in the job, but I'm not okay with people not knowing that the job exists. So therefore, I'd really like to see some people, right, that are able to at least come in and get some more information on this. So if we put in their name down, we'll send them a courtesy text, let them know what we do, and they're feel free to ignore us. This is a fun way to build a team with great people that has no impact on your acceptance decision. By the way, if you are accepted for the position and you have some friends that you've recommended get accepted as well, you would be eligible for some free Cutco and some possible trips and scholarships. So feel free to take out your phone, refer as many as you'd like. And here's one last line I like to write down there. I've noticed that most applicants recommend anywhere between 5 and 10 people. I've even had some applicants that actually give us more. In fact, last week we had a girl that thought that everybody she knew should check this out, and she had some extra time, so she filled out a full sheet, and then she asked for another one. And I was totally cool with that. We still sent them all a text to let them know the job was available. Now, during this time of year, if you're getting 7, excellent, right? During gold period in the summer, you should be getting like 10 or 15, right? Like really blowing it up because a lot more people are looking for work. So feel free to take out your phone, refer as many as you'd like. Take your time, no rush at all, and I'll call your name when I'm ready for it. Go ahead and take your seats. Go back to where you're sitting. Spread out a little bit. I'm sure you're a little bit uncomfortable with those hard metal chairs, and I'll be with you guys shortly. Thanks. And now I'm turning on the radio. There's also another PowerPoint that you can share, and that PowerPoint actually has all of the photos from a lot of our events. Next slide on here that you'll notice is you can talk about building the team with friends and some benefits. And then also we've got our website, gpdstudentwork.com. If you go to that website, it's a forwarding site to be able to apply for the job as well. And then at the end, you've got the final interview and so forth. Cool? All right, awesome. So those are the details. It's 5:52, so I'm pretty pumped about that. Right now, I'm going to give you assignments, and I'm going to ask all of you to spend about 5 to 10 minutes just role-playing through the words that are in the script at least one time each, and then we'll take about a 15 to 20-minute break before we dive into dive into the division meeting. Now, Leadership Academy is done. So any questions, any comments on covering those sections step by step and what we reviewed there? Or advice from veterans that have done it before that it really helps out or something that I missed? No? Pretty comprehensive? Sweet. And even for the veterans, I saw some of you nodding your head and being like, oh, I remember that, or I need to get better at this, or I forget that. So yeah, you're never too good to learn. You're never too good to improve or go to meetings and get better. So that's why I'm fired up about SLC. I get to go to Hollywood and sit in a hotel for 4 days and learn from the best of the best. So anyway, let's dive in. Here are some assignments as we wrap up. Assignments from last time. Who remembers? What were some of the assignments from last time? Okay. We'll finish reading the 1 Minute Manager, right? If you don't know, there's a reading assessment. There's 4 books that we read. The first one we're wrapping up right now is the 1 Minute Manager. I've heard of other what do you call them, candidates that are going to open up offices from other parts of the nation, already completing all 4 of the required books for Leadership Academy, knocked out, done them all, and going to reread them. That's somebody who's getting ahead of the competition, right? Because think about it. The sooner you read that stuff, the sooner you have awareness of it, right? And the sooner you can implement it into your learning process and getting prepared for your office. So what are the 4 books? Well, the 1 Minute Manager, right? That's one of the first one. They're all written down somewhere else, okay, on the Leadership Academy packet. What's another one? The Dream Manager, right, by Matthew Kelly. What's another one?
How to win friends and influence others.
It's not on there, but I like it.
Total
Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, right? And what's another one? We said that one, yep, by Matthew Kelly. Good.
The Leader Who Had No Title.
Leader Who Had No Title by Robin Sharma, right? Those are the 4, okay? So those are on your packet of Leadership Academy in the first place, and there's other advanced reading. By the way, Kevin Barth, one of the all-time veteran, $5 million Court of Honor managers right now, okay? He just sent me a Snapchat yesterday, and it was a table with 6 other books, and he said, my reading for the next month. 6 different personal health growth books, right? And this is a guy who is a veteran, perennial veteran, right? And champion. $5 million in management sales, develops 10 managers a year as a district, and he's reading 6 new books, right? Readers are leaders. Leaders are readers, right? Great way to look at it, okay? So again, that was one of the assignments you got to read. Another one of the assignments was for you to record yourself, okay, doing the parts of the interview that we covered last time and share that. Also, last time we talked about the power of 5. So another one of your assignments was to start to coach a rep, right? Start to help them out. Run your first PC or watch a PC, right? Watch your first version of PDI time or do your first couple of PDI calls, right? And if you don't know what those are, it's probably because you forgot and everything's on recording. So you guys know I finally uploaded everything. I have a YouTube channel. If you just type in my name, Nick Matlack, there's not a lot of people like me, and there's not a lot of videos up there. So go ahead and check them out. They're all going to be uploaded. I'll upload this one tomorrow. Cool? So here are your assignments to write down. Assignment number 1 is I want you to record your interview wrap-up. So right after the video is over, press record, and I want to see a recording either as a practice role play or an actual interview, including the pay review, your stump speech, right, your perk section, and your PR name collection. Okay? Film it. And I will be creating a Dropbox very soon with a generic password for everybody. You'll be able to go to the Dropbox and upload your recordings, because right now I know a lot of you have had issues with getting them to me. So you're going to be able to upload it to the Dropbox, and then once it's in there, I'll be able to watch it, and you guys will be able to watch each other's to be able to have some constructive criticism, right, and give each other feedback. There'll be a folder for each of the assignments to upload, so I'll get that up this week. Cool? Last one, manager startup contribution, right? Can you be over 1,000 by Olean? Can you be over 2,000 by Olean? How much can you sell during the push and go to Olean and cut a check and contribute it to your startup? Cool. And the last one is I need you all to have a Olean push PC. And after your push PC, you need to text me and your manager, or you can throw it on the Leadership Academy GroupMe. But before the push begins when? October 9th. So by October 8th, I need you to either post in GroupMe or text me personally with 2 numbers for push. Okay, number 1, I need you to tell me what your standard is. What is a standard? A standard is something that you will not accept anything less than. Remember, it takes 3,000 to get recognized on stage when you're up in Olean. So what is the standard, right? No matter what, I'm going to do blank amount of demos and sell blank for push. That number does not need to impress me. You could give me a number of saying, no matter what, I'm going to sell $1,000 for push, and I'm going to complete 10 demos. Okay, great. But then the second number I need you to text me is, what is your goal? And that's more of what you're going after. I'm going after winning a trophy. I'm shooting for selling $10,000 and completing 40 demos, or whatever that is, right? So again, 2 sets of numbers, goals, and standards. Fair enough? Sweet. All right, guys. Other than that, I appreciate you being on right now, and thanks for another successful Leadership Academy. As a reminder, we've got about 3 weeks before our next one. It's going to be on October 18th, 1 week before Olean. And if you're not signed up for Olean, it is not too late. We can still get you signed up. Talk to me about it. And step 1 to getting into management, right? It's just letting me know that you're interested, right? We're still trying to fill up every territory as we move forward. So let's go ahead and dive into role playing. I'm going to stop the recording. Have a phenomenal time, and then I will see you at 6:30 for the division meeting. Stop recording. Stop.